In stage 3, we're going to work with special characters to further format the text on our web page. There are some special characters such as the copyright symbol or registered trademark where you need a special number for the code, and it always begins with the ampersand symbol. Make sure that you're in split view again so you can see the code and you have your typography HTML page open. And we are going to go to our insert panel in this case. You can also access the insert menu at the top of your screen. And we're in design view, split view to see our code and design view. Scroll down to the N- section and highlight the hyphen in between December 15th and January 2nd. And then we want to use the insert panel to insert our special character, the N- instead, to replace our regular hyphen. Now, if you don't see the character style option under your HTML panel, you can go to your insert menu, go to HTML, and then scroll down to character, and then select N-. So when you do that, then you can see in the code, there it's hiding over here, the ampersand, a number or hashtag symbol is followed by a number, and that number is the code for the N-. So rather than having you memorize all these special character codes, you can just use the insert panel. So Dreamweaver provides several of these special characters, and not all of them. If you can't find them in the character panel or the other panel, you can always look it up on Google, but I think most of the ones you need will be available here. Now we will do the same thing and add the N- here to 25 minus 3, and you can just do the same thing, insert HTML character N-. Now we want to add the M-. So when you see those double hyphens, that means we want to replace that with the M-, so that's the correct dash. So we go to insert HTML character and place the M-. And we actually want to get rid of those extra spaces. Then scroll down to the copyright symbol section, highlight the capital C, and we want to use our insert panel again, go to HTML character, and this time select the copyright symbol, and you can see the corresponding code, number code in the code pane. Then we want to go ahead and go down and do that for the trademark, registered trademark symbol and the unregistered trademark symbol. So now that we've inserted some special characters, and you'll probably want to copyright your website in your footer and have a copyright with your name or your company name or design firm name using that symbol. And now we want to create a table in Dreamweaver. In the paragraph before hyphens and dashes, go ahead and hit a paragraph return so that you have an extra line space before hyphens and dashes, and that's where we're going to insert a table. And you can actually use your insert panel, make sure you're in HTML, and select table, and then you can select 2 rows, 2 columns, and we're going to leave all the other areas blank for now, and select the top header element. And in the caption field, and this is essentially the title of your table, we're going to call that quotation characters. And hit OK. And now you've got a table placed in your web page. And you can type directly in. So you want to select the dotted lines show where the cells are. So select the click inside the top left cell and then type in character description. Hit tab to move to the next cell over and type in character. And you can see what's happening in your code. So now we've got a table, tags. Inside the table we've got the caption or the title. Then we have our table body. Within the table body we have our table row and then our table header. And the scope just assigns an attribute or the columns and gives more information for any properties that have been added to this table header. This ampersand MBSP is giving it a space, and we're going to replace that with something else in a minute. So now in the lower cell, we're going to type in double curly quotes. Hit tab to move to the right, and then we're going to choose from our insert panel under HTML, character, and go to the other option, and now we can select our double curly quotes or smart quotes and click on OK. Oops, and I hit the wrong one. We want the top one. And then if you look at the code, it inserts the number for that smart quote. And we want to do, actually, as I did the left one, so I want to insert the right one. I inserted the left one, and I want to insert the right one. So now I'm going to go back and insert the left quote and put a space in between. Hit tab to make another row, and in the next row I want to type in single curly quotes. Hit tab, and now do the same thing. Go to other under character and find the single curly quote, the left one, space, and then insert the right one. And again, you can see the code in the code pane. Hit tab to insert another row and type in double prime inches or seconds. Hit tab again. And now we're going to just input the code. So we're going to go to the code pane where you see the non-breaking space code. We're going to replace that, highlight that, the ampersand MBSP for non-breaking space, and replace that with the ampersand prime. So I'm going to keep the ampersand and just type in capital P and prime. And that is the code. Oops, got an extra semicolon there. That is the code for our double prime quotes. Then hit tab and type in single prime, or feet or minutes. Tab again, and then we're going to go into our code and replace that non-breaking space code with lowercase prime, and that's the code for the single prime. Again, I've got an extra semicolon. So the code, you have to be really precise. The code for double prime and single prime are very similar, so make sure you get it right, the capital P and then the lowercase p. You can go ahead and save your file, and then we're going to insert some special characters in code and delete that extra space. I'm going to scroll down to our multiplication signs, and here I'm going to highlight the multiplication sign for 15 times 22 and go into my code, and I want to replace that X with an actual multiplication sign, and the code for that would be ampersand, and then type in TIM. Then you'll see Dreamweaver brings up the code for times. Hit enter or return to finalize that code. And then you can see the change made in your document in design view. Then we're going to find the next instance where the times is used, 6x9. And look for that in your code again. And then instead of replacing it like we did last time, we're going to use the number code. And we're going to hit type in ampersand number 215. And Dreamweaver doesn't give you the name of the code for the numbers. So you just input the number, but it's the same thing. So there's different ways you could either enter the number of the code or the times code. Now we're going on to stage 4 to create lists. And this is very important because we can use lists to create our navigation menu. And there are two basic types of lists. There's the ordered list, which is usually sequential and usually uses numbers, or the unordered list, which does not have to be sequential and can use bullets. So we're going to create an ordered list of web resources. If you scroll down and click on the end of your paragraph with the number 1 under resources, I'm going to click the ordered list icon in your properties panel, so the one with the numbers. And now you see it adds another number to the list item. Then if you hit return, it will add another list item with the number. We can delete that extra number on the first list item. And then in the second list item, we'll type in HTML, entities, and other resources at W3 Schools. Go back to the first item and highlight the URL for a list apart. Do an edit cut or Command X and delete those extra brackets and space. And then go up to your link. We're going to highlight a list apart magazine. In your properties panel, you can just paste that URL we cut and paste it into the link area and hit return to finalize that. And now you can see the text A List Apart magazine is now linked to the website. So that's always better than listing out or writing out the entire URL. And then we can link the W3 Schools to the W3 Schools website also. To save time, I'm going to go ahead and hit return twice so that I can start an unordered list. Click the unordered list option in your properties panel, and then you'll see the bullet point, and type in home, return, store, return, tools, downloads, about, and contacts. So these would be the elements in the nav bar or the website pages that you would want to link to on your home page and on every page. I'm going to highlight the word home, and in your properties panel under link, just type in the hashtag or number symbol and hit return, and now this is hyperlinked. Now the home is not hyperlinked to anything in particular, but it just shows that it will be hyperlinked, and you can add an actual link later on, and that would be a relative link because it would be linked to another page on your site. When you're linking to a site outside of your site, such as A List Apart or W3 Schools, that would be an absolute link. So go ahead and just link all of your site pages with that hyperlink or hashtag symbol, just so that they are showing up as hyperlinks. After you've done that for each item, we can go on to stage 5. In stage 5, we're going to add tags and element IDs. Dreamweaver uses a CSS file or a cascading style sheet, and it's basically like a master style sheet where you can apply styles for all the pages in your site. And when you add styles, the CSS file that includes selectors or rules that define the appearance of different tags. For the formatting to show you the content styles correctly, you need to apply the appropriate tags to all the different elements on your page. With Typography HTML open and you're in split view still, scroll up to your heading 1, then go to your tag selector. So at the bottom left area in Dreamweaver, you'll see these tags, and these are selectors that if you click on, you can select the entire H1 heading content. Then go to your insert panel in HTML and you can click the header button. If you don't see it here, just use your insert menu. Go to HTML and select header. Select wraparound selection and click OK. And now you'll see this dotted container where the H1 content resides, and if you go to your code, you'll see the header tag is now added and the H1 text is nested within the header container. Now we want to do the same thing with the footer, so I want to select the P tag selector, so I'm selecting that entire paragraph. And then I want to insert, and under HTML, the footer, wraparound selection, click on OK, and now the footer content is nested inside this footer container. And you can see that that paragraph is now inside the footer tags. Now we want to go to the unordered list or navigation menu and click on the unordered list or UL tag selector, and now you'll see the entire list highlighted. Go to your HTML insert panel and select the navigation button. Select wraparound selection and click OK. And now you've added the navigation element around your list items. So if you can see in the code, you have the unordered list, then the list tag inside with the href establishing your relative link to your pages, and then it's within the nav bar tags. Now I'm going to scroll up and start at the first paragraph where that block quote is, highlight all the text all the way down until just before your navigation text. Go to the HTML insert panel and select section. We're going to choose wraparound selection again, and this time we're going to give an ID name. We're going to call it excerpt. So what we're doing here is we're calling this entire section excerpt, and we're going to attribute an ID style to it. So if there is an ID selector named excerpt in the CSS style sheet file, it will apply that style to this entire section. So that will help to make the formatting of the style much easier on the designer. I'm going to click on OK, and now you can see in the code that section tag has been added, and the ID selector called excerpt has now been added. So here's the section, and this section is given the name of ID excerpt. So this is going to allow you to define different appearances for the same elements in different sections. So now I can give, since I didn't include the navigation element in that excerpt section, I can give that a different ID or different style. Now we want to actually attach our CSS style. So in the previous homework or tutorial, you didn't have to attach the CSS style because it was already attached. And then later on, you will create your own CSS file. So in this case, we've already got a CSS file created, and we're just going to attach it to this file to format that style to this web page. We want to go to our CSS designer panel, make sure the All button is selected, click on the plus button to add or attach an existing CSS file. Then we want to browse to look for and select the CSS style in your folder that has been provided by Against the Clock. Select Open, and you want to add it as a link. Click on OK, and now you'll see that style sheet show up under Sources in your CSS Designer panel, and your page is now formatted to that style, and you can see different selectors with different styles that have been created in this style sheet. You can also click on styles.css to look at the code for that style sheet, and you can see all the different attributes and styles that have been attributed to the style sheet, and we can look at it under Live View to see how the design will appear on the browser. Now we can export this site. So if you want to save your file, go back to your Files panel and go to Manage Sites, and then you can choose your site name, export it as the STE site. Make sure you save it in your folder. Once you've exported it, and I've already done that, but once you've exported it, then you can delete the site from Dreamweaver. And you can, because you've saved the STE site in your folder with all of your files, you can easily import it again. So I'm going to go ahead and export mine since it's already been saved, and I can click on Done and close out my files. And that is the end of the tutorial. Okay, so I want to talk a little bit about Homework 7 titled Books. And what we are doing is we're just reformatting the pages from a book on the Color Chapter 3 onto the website for Against the Clock, creating a web page using the same content. So what you will need to do is, it's on page 103 in your textbook, and you will want to download the files called Books for your Portfolio Builder project, and that will include the text for your site that's called Color Chapter 3 Text. And you'll want to create a site based on your ATC site folder, which you just created for your tutorial project. So I'm in Dreamweaver, and I'm going to go to Manage Sites, and I've got my ATC site already imported. But if you don't see it, you can go ahead and click on Import Sites and just import that STE file that you exported from your tutorial file. That's the digital book chapter. Go ahead and import that. Just open it to import it, and then I've already imported it, so I'm going to delete it. I'm just going to open up the site that I've already imported here and click Done. And then you will see those files show up. What you want to do also, before you import that, let me go back a couple steps, is you want to copy or move those files into your digital chapter folder. So once you've downloaded the books file for your homework assignment, it's going to be a zipped file that looks like this. When you unzip it or extract it, you'll have a books folder with these two files, the text file and the PDF file. So just copy those two files on your WIP folder in your ATC or digital chapter folder, where your ATC site STE file is saved at, and now you've got those two additional files. So whatever you place into your root folder is going to show up in Dreamweaver. So now if we go onto Dreamweaver, you'll see that Color Chapter 3 text file and the PDF file here. For the PDF file, you want to, I just go ahead and open that up in Adobe Acrobat, and we're just going to use this as a guide for our headings and subheadings. So I'm going to keep that open so you can see the title is Color Theory, Chapter 3. This is what our subheadings look like, and then there's some more subheadings within some of those sections. So we'll want to name this one Heading 1, H1, and then these other subheadings H2, and then our third tier is going to be H3. So go back to Dreamweaver, close that out, and now I want to go ahead and create a new HTML page. Actually, we need to save as, and then you can call it Color Chapter 3 or give it a name. Make sure you save it in your root folder. Then open up your Color Chapter 3 text file, and you can do the same thing like you did in the tutorial. Copy the text, and you can close that out. Go to Split View, Design View, and paste that text into your page. And then you can begin formatting and do the same things that you did through the tutorial. For example, you want to replace those line breaks with a paragraph code, so you can go to Find and Replace and go ahead and replace with the paragraph code tags. So replace all of that, and then go through, and you want to type in, because there's no heading here, a title, and then assign your headings using your Properties panel. And go through and add any special characters, add those M dashes. There's a lot of M dashes, so you can use your Insert panel to do that. And you can do a find and replace. So you can replace the double hyphen with the M dash, and that's a Shift Option hyphen will give you the M dash on the Mac keyboard, and you can go ahead and replace all. And just go through the text and go ahead and format it, format all the subheadings, and follow the instructions. You will also need to place italics wherever there are italics used. Use your PDF file as a guide, and then towards the end you'll want to insert a table like you did in the tutorial. This one will have 2 columns and 6 rows, and that will be towards the end. You can ignore the glossary text at the end. You don't need to format that. Once you've inserted the table here above understanding gamut, and after the lab text is your text for your table, so you can insert it there. You can also format your bulleted lists using your properties panel, and you can get rid of the extra text here. And then once you're done formatting all of the text, you can highlight all the paragraph text. And again, you can just do it up to the glossary because you can ignore the glossary information here. So go and you want to include your table. Okay, once you've highlighted all that text, then you can assign it as a section. Use your insert panel again, select your section, wrap around, and you can call that the ID excerpt, just like we did in the digital book chapter, and then attach, using your CSS designer panel under sources, attach your existing CSS file, and go ahead and just attach the same CSS file as you did in the digital book chapter. So that's the styles CSS sheet, link it, and then you'll assign the style. So once you've gone through all of that, it's going to look something like this. So you'll have your header area, so you want to assign the header for your title, your footer, and assign your headings and subheadings, and include the table. And you want to make sure, I haven't gone through this with a fine-tooth comb, but make sure you go through all the text and complete all the formatting. Then you will package all of your files. So this is my local root folder. So you want to package that entire, compress that entire folder into a zipped file, and then upload that zip file onto As You Learn, and you want to include your STE file in that folder also. So let me know if you have any questions when you're working through the homework 7.